Hey guys, welcome to What's Up Etown. It's Captain Ron again. We're back, and boy, Jamie, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, buddy. Good to see you.
I know, I'm excited. We got a great guest on the show today. I mean, a celebrity from here, a celebrity from Toronto. Like, it's going to be great, man. I'm very, very excited. What's been new with you, buddy? What's going on?
Not much, man. I've actually been really looking forward to talking to this next guy because I like most people, I miss sports something fierce.
Oh, so do I, man. We'd be in the NHL playoffs right now. Like,
yeah,
I want to find out all about that from him too as well. Obviously, our next guest you might have seen on primetime Sportsnet Central. He's written 5 books. He is a best-selling author. He has covered the Stanley Cup Final, Super Bowls, Olympics, you name it. This guy has covered the sporting event. I want to welcome into the show right now. Jamie, you ready to welcome him in?
He's coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ken Reid to What's Up Etown. Oh, Kenny Reid is coming up. Look out, everybody.
And there he is. Voila.
Kenny, how are you, my friend?
Good, Captain Ron. How you doing, buddy?
I am fantastic, my friend. Great to see you again. Thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure, boys. My pleasure. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm good, man. Good to see you. You're looking very casual, relaxed. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I had to wear a hat. So.
You sure did. Me too.
I got quarantine hair. You know.
Oh, is that what are we going to do the messy hair show? Is that what we're going to do?
We could. I did a video yesterday on old hockey cards from the 70s about how wild their hair was, and my connection to doing it to today was we all look like we're from the 70s. Except, except then this was in style. Now it's just part of what we're all going through, I guess, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, Kenny, like, what's been going on with you, man? Obviously, sports is on. We've just pushed the pause button on sports.
Yeah.
So what's been going on with you since this whole COVID-19, the dreaded COVID-19?
Yeah, not much, Ron. Honestly, I haven't done a show in 6 or 7 weeks now. The last show I did was the night Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID. And remember that's when everything blew up. Mm-hmm. And I just so happened, that was a Thursday night, which was wild at work. It's like I always say, it's one of the nights you get paid for. Most of the time, let's face it, we sit around, we read highlights, but this was a night that breaking news you had to be on, which I don't want to say is fun, but it's definitely an adrenaline rush. That was a wild night. The next night was a Friday, and everything. I didn't work that night. I just happened to have it off. And then on Sunday night, I got a call that all our shows were canceled and just stand by. Then I opened up an Instagram account because you got to stay relevant. And I've been doing not much. I've been doing lots of podcasts. I've been doing videos, hockey card videos on Sportsnet.ca. I'm a big hockey card geek, so I've been doing those for Sportsnet.ca. The occasional radio interview. But mostly I've been trying to keep a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old entertained, my two boys, and try to stay out of Mrs. Reid's hair because Mrs. Reid works from home. So I've been trying to stay in the background.
Well, taking care of the kids and taking care of the wife is definitely the hardest part of all of that you just talked about.
Oh my! Well, the challenge with the kids, right, is I got one kid. My 5-year-old doesn't like to leave the house. My 7-year-old doesn't like to be indoors. The poor 7-year-old is a sports freak. The 5-year-old could care less. So the 7-year-old needs someone to play with. So when this started, we were still in the depths of road hockey season, which was fine with me. I can play road hockey all day. Now we're into soccer season. So I've learned to kick with my left foot. That's been my biggest accomplishment.
Critical skill.
Critical skill, Critical.
Critical. That is not vodka, everybody. Just to let you know, Kenny told us earlier. That is not vodka. It is water. It is water.
Toronto tap water.
Or moonshine.
He's not adapting to our show, so it's all good.
Toronto tap, only the finest will do.
Yeah, actually, this might be the first podcast I'm not drinking in, so
really,
we'll see how that goes. Yeah,
way to keep her pro. Nice.
Yeah.
So
it's practice for when the bars open back up, right?
That's true. That's true.
So are you missing work right now? You must be missing it.
Absolutely. I'm bored, man. As I was telling you guys a few minutes ago before we came on, I've watched every children's movie made in the past. If this is day 53, I've watched 53 children's movies, and we're getting to the nitty-gritty. Like, when this started, going through Pirates of the Caribbean was a blast, and I wouldn't really call that a children's movie, and Goonies and all that. And now Boy, we're into the deeps. We're into the depths here. So there's some bad kids movies out there. So yeah, it's total Groundhog Day. You guys know what it's like. It's wake up and you're going, oh goodness, what's going to be different today? And I don't know about you guys, but I look at this whole COVID thing as a marathon. And like I told my brother, if you're running a marathon, you don't check your watch every 30 seconds. So I'm not reading the newspapers about it every day because nothing's changed. And once a week I'll tune in, but it's, you try not to let it get you down, right? So you just keep smiling and look for other ways to entertain yourself.
Yeah, 100%. That's what you got to do. You just got to try to stay busy. And that's what we've been doing with the podcast, just trying to stay busy. I'm calling everybody I haven't talked to in a while, which was you. I hadn't talked to for a long time. I'm like, you know what? Let's get him on the podcast. He's not busy as he usually is, but you're crazy busy most of the time. So, I'll get you on the show. We'll have some fun, introduce you to a good friend of mine, and just have some fun with you, buddy.
Well, that's a cool thing with this too, Ron, is like we're able to talk and catch up, right? Because you're such a terrific guy. Like, you're the nicest guy. You helped me out so much when I was in Edmonton. So the fact that we can get to catch up, and like if you don't have kids, maybe you can learn to play a musical instrument or do something you always wanted to do during this, because we do have lots of time. That's one thing we have.
I'm learning how to play guitar, actually, now that you said that. I'm learning how to play guitar.
Wow. I think keep thinking of learning to play the bass, but I don't know. I don't think I'm cool enough.
We could start a band.
Get right up there, buddy. Get it right up in the armpit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to play the cool. I always thought the coolest bass. I love the blues, right? And I always thought the coolest bass player in a blues band always looks like he's got something better to be doing. It's like, double rum and coke. Yep, and just keep going like that. Like, cool bass player always looks like something else is going on.
Right, they're just kind of looking around at nothing, right? While they're playing. Totally,
they're just
100%. I forgot something in our intro that I didn't talk about. Sorry for interrupting you there, Jamie. You are the pride of Pictou, Nova Scotia, too. I want to let everybody know that out there. If there is nobody that's prouder of Pictou, Nova Scotia, it is Mr. Ken Reid.
That's true. I do love where I'm from. I love my hometown, but we got lots of cool people from Pictou. We got Teapot, the greatest athlete of all time. T would have made her. He was like, anything you can do. Any sport, Teapot wins in Pictou. Yeah, I love where I'm from. So if you're ever driving,
you got to tell us a little bit about Teapot. Who's Teapot?
T is the greatest athlete to ever come out of Pictou. He was the scoring star for the Junior C Mariners in the 80s. He's the golf champ. He's the darts champ. He's the lobster banding champion. If anything, Teapot wins it all. Teapot wins at life. He's a great dude. His whole family's wicked talented. But if you're ever driving through Nova Scotia and you see old exit 22 for Pictou, pull on over. Come on in. It's a good time.
Be ready to challenge Teapot.
Oh, you be ready to lose is what you should be ready to do. Challenge him all you want. You won't be winning.
That's okay. All that stuff you mentioned, I'm not very good at anyway, so we're good.
Yeah. He's not.
Teapot can win.
He could out DJ you too, and he's never even done it before.
Ooh, them fighting words.
Sounds like it.
Sounds like Ron's gonna road trip.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a throwdown in Pictou. That's what it sounds like to me.
Beautiful. No, Pictou's an awesome spot. I love it. It's a wicked spot.
It is. It's a beautiful town. I've never looked at. You've mentioned it obviously tons of times talking before, but I actually looked it up and it's beautiful there. Like right on the water. It's a gorgeous town. It looks like so.
It's funny when you're a kid growing up. You take growing up by the ocean for granted. Like I didn't even see it. Right? It just. If you're there, you don't even. Now I go home and it's like, holy smokes, it's right there. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So with this whole COVID thing, I don't know if I'll be able to go home this summer for the first time ever. So things will adjust. We'll play it by ear, right?
That's crazy. Do you usually go back for a long period of time, or just a couple weeks or something?
Yeah, usually go back for a couple weeks every summer. Go home for the Lobster Carnival, which they canceled this year, and just chill out at Mom's cottage, do some golfing. Drink a couple.
Nice.
Schooners.
What was growing up in Pictou like? What was growing up in Pictou, Nova Scotia?
It was awesome. It was as quaint and innocent and fun as you think it might be. Like you literally were outside all day. You bugged the neighbors. You threw rocks at people. You threw snowballs at people. You played road hockey all day. You were at the rink all night. It was a blast. There were no rules. It was kind of like you policed yourselves, right? If you had a problem with the kid, you'd fight him, but then you'd be his best buddy the next day, and it was great. It was
going to get Slurpees after the game, right?
Yep, hockey cards, bubble gum, arcades, all that.
Simpler times.
Who would have thought we'd ever think of the 80s as simple, right? Because when we were in the 80s, we heard of how cool the 50s and 60s were, and I guess the 80s are the new 50s, right?
It's always
Back
something.
in my day, back in the Oilers in the 80s, it's kind of what it is now.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Okay, I heard a rumor. Now I'm gonna ask you this, and I don't remember you ever saying this in Edmonton. Is it true you were a Habs fan when you were growing up?
Massive Habs fan as a kid, absolutely. But I was a huge Habs fan. My brother Peter was a big Oilers fan.
Okay.
So the odd time the Habs and Oilers would meet on Hockey Night in Canada, we would literally fist fight. But I was smart enough. See, when you're a kid, right, you like the Montreal Canadiens. People might say, and they used to say in my day, I hate that Gretzky guy. And I was smart enough to go, no. He's not on my favorite team, but he's still the best player. So you should cherish this and take it all in. Yeah. So I was smart enough as a kid to know that this was my favorite team, but I could still admire the players and respect them on the other team. So, man, when I was a kid growing up out in Nova Scotia, if the Oilers had a playoff game, it didn't come on until 10 o'clock my time, right? So what my dad would let me do is I would sleep. This is when they were taking on the Islanders in the final or whenever it was. I would go to bed at 6, and then Dad would wake me up at 10, and I'd watch the game. But I'd be so excited from 6 to 10, I'd be just wired, and then I'd come down and watch the game. So I'd be stumbling into school with about 4 hours sleep. But it was awesome. And honestly, it created some awesome childhood memories, and I will let my kid do it as well. He can go to school on 3 hours sleep. I could care less.
There you go.
100%. Right? 100%.
But I mean that in a way that you can learn a lot outside the classroom as well, totally. Right? So, if there's a playoff game, but your kid's got to be at school the next day at 8, so what if he's tired for one day at school? Now, I'm not saying do that 200 days, but the playoffs don't come around that often.
One would argue, though, that preparing a young man with broken sleep schedules is actually a valid life skill.
That's true.
To set them up for the future success. So
that's
well
true.
done.
I work in sports and I work late nights. So well done, Dr. Dan Reid.
I think you've got another book on the way.
He knew. Yeah, brought up my way. Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
But speaking of which, now one of the things I got to ask. Speaking of which, because I just mentioned your next book. So Ron was telling me 5 books in total.
Yeah.
So I was looking this up. So talk to me a little bit about writing books. How do you come to decide you're going to write a book?
Well, it's kind of weird. I always thought, author, you have to be smart. So clearly you don't. So I bucked that trend. I always consumed. I've always consumed hockey and baseball books at an epic rate, and I always wanted to write a hockey book, but I never had the time nor the platform. Because Ron knows when I worked at Edmonton, doing local sports on Saturdays and Sundays, I'd work. If the Oilers had a home game, I'd be at the skate at 10 a.m. and I'd work till 12 that night. So 2 14-hour days in a row. I had Monday and Tuesday off. I'd sleep. And then, maybe go out for a couple cocktails. And then you'd work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There's no time to write a book, nor does anybody want to hear a book from me. They don't know who the heck I am. So I got to Sportsnet. I've always loved my hockey cards, and I'd go home and look at them. I mean, in my 20s and 30s, I wasn't heavy into it because girls. I liked girls. And like a lot of guys, I put my hockey cards aside. But I always liked them and looked at them when I'd go home. And when I got to Sportsnet, I guess I was on a national platform, so a few more people knew who I was. And also, I was working weekends only, so I had a lot of time on my hands. Couldn't afford a golf membership, so I had an idea for a book. Ian Mendez, who works at TSN in Ottawa now, was working for Sportsnet. He'd written a book with their buddy Noodles, Jamie McLennan, and he said, well, you need a literary agent. I said, what's that? He told me. I called the literary agent, pitched this idea about calling up guys about their old cards that I have and asking what the heck was going on. He said, great idea. And within a week he called. I said, I got a deal for you. So I thought, well, I better write the book. So then I started calling guys just randomly. The first guy I called was a guy named Joe Daly, who played for the Winnipeg Jets and actually owns a sports card store in Winnipeg.
Nice.
So I knew he'd relate. And the guys all related to it, and they needed some big names for the book. So Don Cherry was huge. He was so kind to me. Don has such a generous heart.
Wow.
He didn't have to reach out and help me. I came home from a run one day, and there was a voicemail from Don Cherry. Like, that was mind-boggling. Yeah. So calling guys and saying, hey, it's Ken. I'm writing a book. I work at Sportsnet. That would open some doors.
Yeah.
And I had stories of 39 guys, and I had my first book called Hockey Card Stories, and since that time, I've written, I guess, 5 total now. So it's something I enjoy. It's long and tedious work, but I'm like you guys, right? I'm a talker. I'm curious. I like to know what other people do. So to get to call up your hockey heroes and just sit there is amazing for me. And I wrote a book, one with Dennis Maruk, and I wrote one with Eddie Shack, and to just sit and listen to them tell stories is just amazing. So yeah, so somehow 5 books. So if people consider me an author, that's cool. But I'm just a dude who wrote some books. But I did wear the glasses for you guys, so I look smarter.
There you go. Studious. Yeah, we were just talking about glasses today. So
I know I'm trying to fool everybody too. Actually,
yeah. So. People think you're smart. It's funny as hell.
Well, half the time, if you catch Ron on the right day, you'll see he's got 2 pairs of glasses stacked.
Oh, you got one on top of the head?
No, like both on his face.
Oh, yeah? You got the bifocal thing going on? Nothing?
Man-made bifocals, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
That's how DJs roll.
Do, right?
Yeah, times are tough, man. I'm to the point now where if I read, I have to take them off, and then I go like this.
Yeah, when I wear the glasses, because I've obviously got contacts in, and then these I can read and stuff too, right, as well.
Yeah.
So when I have my glasses on, I have to, if I'm going to read, I have to put the.
I love it.
I could get bifocals, but
that's
I'm too
amazing.
cheap for that.
Yeah,
I'm too
me
cheap.
too. And plus, if you go bifocals, that's admitting you're old, right?
Right,
like,
exactly.
Geez.
Yeah, like, no way, Doc. No way.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Anyway,
So, I
guess I wrote
love
books.
hockey. I haven't read the hockey card book. I'm buying it though, and I'm definitely going to read the hockey part. I know I'm way behind the schedule on this, by the way.
Okay.
I know that.
It's all right. You're forgiven. People always say, like if I meet someone, they'll say, "Oh, I'll meet Joe down the street." Hey, Joe, how are you doing? Good. I'm Ken. I live up the street. Oh, what do you do for a living, Ken? Oh, I'm in broadcasting. Really? Where do you work? Sportsnet. What do you do there? Oh, I'm an anchor on one of the shows. Oh, I'm sorry. I've never watched before. I said, I don't watch you go to work either, so you don't have to apologize. It's okay.
Joe just obviously isn't much of a man if he doesn't watch sports.
Yeah,
I mean,
Joe's a lawyer. I just go there and watch him all day make real estate deals. So.
That's right.
Yeah, no need to apologize.
Other than the 2 hockey card books you did, Ken, you did a couple. You did the 2 with Eddie. What was the first guy's? Ken.
Dennis Maruk. I did one with Dennis. Dennis was one of 20 men to score 60 goals in a single season, but he was kind of, if you do the trivia question, people don't know these on there. So it was called The Unforgettable Story of Hockey's Forgotten 60-Goal Man. So that's the one I did with Dennis.
That's very, very cool. And you also did 2 other books about guys was it 39 guys that made the show?
Yeah.
For one night only, correct?
Right. So I did a book with Eddie Shack that came out last Christmas, and I did another one called One Night Only, which was a story of 39 guys who made the NHL but only played a single game in the NHL. So the hook for that was I've always dreamed of playing in the NHL, and man, even if I could skate for just one night, that'd be awesome. But then I said, well, would it be enough? Would it really be awesome? So tracked down 39 guys who played one game. And the next one, boys, coming out in September/October, is called One to Remember. And it is about 39 guys who scored a single goal in the NHL. So kind of the same hook. So was that enough? So and I'll give you a trivia question too, see if you can get it. So I talked to 39 guys who scored a single NHL goal, and one of them is a Hockey Hall of Famer. Can you name that player? There's a question for you.
Oh man.
So I'm guessing that it's got to be in the builder category or something like that.
Not a builder, no. He was a player.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, as a player, eh?
Mm-hmm. You want a hint?
My goodness, that is a really tough one.
He scored one goal. He scored one goal, and he's in the NHL. Here's your hint.
Okay.
He was a player in the series when the Edmonton Oilers won their first Stanley Cup, but he didn't play for the Oilers.
So he was an Islander.
Yeah, he was an Islander. He was in that series. The Islanders.
I'm gonna guess here. Butch Goring.
No, he was in the Islanders' crease for that series.
Billy Smith?
Billy Smith, yeah.
No way. Wow.
I guess that's why he scored one goal.
That's right. Billy Smith, first goalie in NHL history to score a goal. So I'm lucky I do a lot of MC work here in Toronto, and we go all across Canada with this company I work with. And Billy's one of our frequent So what we'll do is we'll go to a town and we'll do it'll be an alumni draft, so people will raise money for Heart and Stroke or Easter Seals, and the more they raise, they get to draft a player. I'm the MC. Billy's often one of our players, so I get to know Billy well doing that. So awesome. Billy doesn't give interviews, but he let me get one with him, so that was cool to interview Billy Smith.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of interviews, I mean, obviously you've done a plethora of listen to me, big words.
All right, yeah.
It's happening right. Wow, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
I gotta look that word up a second. Hold on a second here.
Well, Jamie, he is talking to an author, so he has to.
Like, I'm not an author, and I don't know what word that was that you just used, so I might as well excuse myself.
I'll tell you, that's the only reason, and I bet it's the only reason Ron knows that word too. It's because of the Three Amigos, the movie.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
A plethora of pinatas.
Plethora?
See, it all makes sense now.
Plethora of pinatas.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Obviously, in all the interviews that you've done, Kenny, what is the one that stands out to you? What is like the one that you got on your reel? Like, let's say things don't work out at Sportsnet, and you want to go get another job. What's that one that's on your reel?
I'm sure it's the one, and it's the guy you think it is. The first time I interviewed Wayne Gretzky was just like, wow. I grew up, as I mentioned to you guys earlier, a Habs fan, but I worshipped at the altar of Wayne Gretzky, and kind of still do. He's my man. So the first time I interviewed him, I was working in Calgary, and there was a press conference from Hockey Canada about the upcoming Canadian Olympic team tryouts in Calgary in August of 2001, and Gretzky was in charge of that team. So Gretzky was going to be at the press conference, and I was a local reporter in Calgary, assigned to cover that press conference. The day before, I'm telling my brother. We're both kind of freaking out. And my brother said, I'm sneaking into the press conference. I'm getting your picture when you're interviewing him. Like, if you sneak in there, I'm going to kill you because I'll lose my job. So the formal part of the press conference is over, where you see them on TV. They speak at a desk, and then they go off for what we call, you scrum them. So I'm young guy, and I'm going to own this scrum. I'm not going to be shy. So I get right in Gretzky's face, and I'm asking the first 5 questions. He's answering, he's being great, but the whole time, like, you're in this scrum of like 30 people, the whole time I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope my brother's in here taking a picture. So go home, and, I do my story, go home, and that night, brother's like, what was it like? Oh God, it was awesome. I think it was maybe 4 or 5 months later, it was my birthday, and my brother gives me his thing. I open it up, and it's a framed picture of me interviewing Gretzky.
Wow.
Yeah, still have that picture.
Wow, that's awesome.
Still have that picture. It's in my man cave / children's playroom, and that was a moment where, somebody that just grew up just worshiping the guy. It was pretty special. And the other ones that stand out for me are guys that I grew up with who played in the NHL, and then right. I get to interview them as NHL players. So my brother played at a high level of hockey growing up. I didn't. I was a scrub, but my brother's 3 years younger than me. So Colin White, he played with Colin, who played for the New Jersey Devils, and he came through town, and I'd interview him. I remember once just going, don't screw around. I was like, okay. And Johnny Sim, I'd interview him. And another special time is actually when I was in Edmonton, and a kid from my hometown, Joey McDonald, was kind of up and down with Detroit, and he was going to start for Detroit on a Hockey Night in Canada game in Edmonton. So I interviewed Joey that morning, and we were both kind of just going, for me to be interviewing a guy in the NHL and to work at Sportsnet, that's my NHL. So right. To see them make it is just so awesome. So interviewing Joey the first day of his NHL debut was awesome, and I remember talking to Greg Millen afterwards. And I was filling him in on Pictou, so that night he'd say, "Oh, they're watching tonight at Relics in the Tavern in Pictou." So that was pretty cool. And Joey put on a good performance. I think they tied that night. I think it was a tie, and the Oilers might have won in a shootout. But I remember Joey was really good, and it was just that was cool to be there for his NHL debut, because when I was younger, I actually used to referee, and I remember refereeing Joey, and he was one of those kids you're like, this kid's kind of really good. And so those are the ones that stand out for me.
Awesome. That's crazy, man. On the opposite side of that, what's like your most embarrassing moment? And like, if you've ever had a moment where the camera was on you and you're looking over here, or like, what's the most embarrassing moment?
So scariest, I guess. I never, like, the scariest one I ever had, again, goes back to when I was working in Calgary. And you're young, and you you're feeling your way through, right? You're not gonna have any major faux pas, but you're kind of not. You're gonna push the boundaries maybe a little and see where you fit in. So we were scrumming Don Hay, who was the coach of the Flames, and it was only me and another reporter and a gentleman named Russ Peake, who just passed away. Actually, he was a reporter for CTV Calgary. He was just an awesome guy. Russ had been around the block and he knew the business, and here I am, 25, 26 years old, trying to make my way in. So Don Hay comes out and he's being generous with his time, giving us his interview. And I think this is, maybe February or March. It's late in the season, and the Flames, would have been the 2000 season. They weren't that good. So maybe let's say their record was 25-40 at this point. And he's like, oh yeah, we just got to come out and play our game. And I'm kind of going, I'm not going to put up with cliche answers. I'm a young guy, right? So I said, well, Don, you guys are 15 games below 500. What exactly is your game? And I remember he just death stares me for what seemed like forever, but in reality it was only 2 seconds. And then he contained himself and went about his way. And then Russ, when it's over, he goes, Kenny, I just met you, but you're one brave young son of a gun. I'll give you that. And I was like, thanks, Russ. So that was my most fearful moment with a microphone in my hand was Don Hay. And it's funny, too, because he probably wasn't angry and he probably didn't stare. But in my mind, I'm 25, 26. I'm interviewing an NHL coach. I'm scared to death. But that was one moment I recall. Yeah,
you're flirting. You're poking the bear there, and it. So.
Yeah, that probably was. We just got to go play our game. Probably could have been okay. Thanks for your time, but instead, I'm out to change the world and win a Pulitzer Prize by doing a scrum in Game 65 of the season. So, you learn your lessons along the way. You learn what you can and cannot do, and I mean, now there's no reason to do that, but when you're 25.
Well, you were talking about being a young broadcaster. I wasn't actually going to ask this question, but you know what? I'm kind of curious about it. What would you tell somebody that's trying to get into it now? I know it's a really tough business to get into now.
Yeah.
It's a lot tougher probably than you were getting in, correct?
Correct. It's totally different because when I was getting in, you'd go work in a small town, right? Be it in radio or Channel 10, or you'd even go work in Lloydminster or Swift Current or wherever. And now those stations don't exist.
Yeah.
And if they do exist, there's no sports department. So I guess the way I tell people now is go the Steve Dangle route. You start a podcast, you make your own videos, you get time in front of the camera, you be nice to people, you do it all you always do, Ron, a big smile on your face.
I was just gonna say, I'm gonna send you my demo reel.
Yeah, exactly. And you try to carve a niche for yourself, which is a lot different than when I did it. When I did it, you tried desperately to get into a small station, and if you get in, then you show you're good and you can do whatever they ask. And if you do whatever they ask, maybe you move up the ladder. But I mean, there's no going from, I don't know, let's say Sudbury to Swift Current to Regina to Edmonton to Toronto anymore, right? A lot of people start in Toronto right now, which was unheard of when I started.
Was that your tour? Is that where did you all go?
My tour was Dartmouth, Nova Scotia to Calgary to Ottawa to Edmonton to Toronto. So that was my tour. So I started in a small Channel 10 station in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia for $8 an hour, boy. That's good money. So that's what I started for, but I loved it. And I remember going, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be rich, but I'll just treat this as 2 years of grad school. And I did it for about 2 years and 2 months. And then my mother was living in Calgary. So I moved into her basement. That's pretty glorious. And I had a couple buddies who were working at A Channel in Calgary. And I got in there and I got a chance as a morning news writer and swung my way up. By the time I left town, I was the weeknight sports reporter. So if you get it, that's one thing I would say to young broadcasters who try to get in. If you're given any opportunity, take it and do the best you possibly can at it. And if you do the best you possibly can at one thing, they might think you're up for an opportunity to do something else, and just keep swimming up.
And you just never know who might be a potential author nowadays, right?
Yeah, that's right. You never know. You never know who's listening. You never know who's watching. So even if you think it's a quiet night, or just do your best, because you honestly never know.
Ken, where were you in Edmonton?
I was at the CFRN, CTV Edmonton. Yeah.
Okay.
So who've churned out some great broadcasters.
I was going to say, we've done okay in Edmonton, right? We had
man,
Dutition.
Yeah.
And Perry Salkowski, he doesn't like me.
Yep.
Perry Salkowski does not like this guy.
I'll tell you, tell me he said hello.
You know, in some other terms as well on break.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. No, CF, Detition, Labardius, Stanishevsky, Mudryk, Rishog, myself, if you want to throw me in there. Roger Millions, Adam Cook is still, he's so solid. Dave Mitchell, so solid. When I was there, I honestly think we had the best sports department in Canada. We churned out some awesome stories. Dave Mitchell was our sports director. Man, he worked me hard. He probably got him. I probably got on his nerves sometimes, but we churned out a lot of content, and I learned a lot there. Dave was a great writer. I learned a lot from Dave. He knows how to put a TV piece together, and Cookie and me and him, we had a lot of fun, man. That Oilers Cup run, that was a good time covering that. That was a real thrill. But we worked hard, and I'm glad that they still have a local sports presence, because in a lot of stations now, there's just no local sports presence. And to me, if you ask me, aside from something crazy happening, like say this COVID thing or an unfortunate bad news story, the one thing that brings a town together is its sports teams and sports stories. Everybody can get behind that. When the Oilers went to the Cup in 2006, we were leading the whole newscast with that. When the Toronto Raptors went on their run here in Toronto, local news is leading with that. So to see local stations cut sports back, to me, it's so wrong, because those are the stories that can bring everybody together. So you'll have sports guys who can actually tell a story on it, as opposed to throwing to someone who's not very familiar with it. So I hate to see local sports get cut back.
So for all you program directors out there,
that's right.
Step it up. Once we have some sports, we have some sports.
Right, and local sports produces hopefully great broadcasters as well who can swim up the ladder. Because I had a blast doing local sports, man. It was fun, and when you're doing local sports, you interview everybody from the grade 6 kid on the middle school basketball team right up to whomever else comes through town. And some of the best sports stories I ever covered were just high school sports or minor sports. It's a lot of fun doing it. And you put a smile on people's faces when you do that too, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. 100%. Absolutely. They love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did want to ask you a quick question about hockey cards, just as we're going back. I'm just going through my mind here. So I just did something I didn't think I'd ever do, which was I handed a box of all my original hockey cards over. I only collected for about 2 years.
Yeah.
But I handed the entire box and all the different stuff I had to my 11-year-old son, who he plays hockey.
That's great.
So I gave him the whole box last weekend, and he took that home, and he made fun of me because I had, all organized where here's a list of all the cards I still need on the set and all my doubles and all that. So the changing of guards was pretty neat to sit down and go through the cards with him.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start? What year, what season was it that you were like, okay, this is my thing?
So I was like you guys. I bought them at the store when I was little. The first packs I remember opening were 79-80, which was the Gretzky rookie year. But I got heavy into it around 86, I guess would be 86 or 87. I got really heavily nerded into it. And then the boom started in like 88, 89. So when the boom started, I was already ahead of the curve. So I'd start being a dealer and stuff. So then when university came, and it was time to go away to university, you throw the cards, stayed in Dad's house. I'd go back and look at them every summer. So I was heavy into it from like 86 to 92. And I'd say in the last, probably since I moved to Toronto, I got back into it. I slowly, once we got to Toronto, I had no intentions of moving anywhere else across Canada. So I slowly started taking the stuff from Dad's house up here. And then you start looking at it again. And I'm like, oh, man. And then you go, well, that card I wanted then, I can afford that now. So you'd go and buy it.
Yeah.
I remember going to Cooperstown. When we first moved here, we went to Cooperstown to visit the Baseball Hall of Fame, because I looked at the map and I said to Mrs. Reid, I said, that's not that far away. And because we were going to Rochester to watch a Michael McDonald concert, because Mrs. Reid likes Michael McDonald. Keep not in love anymore. So I said, Rochester, that's close to Cooperstown. And Mrs. Reid said, sure. So we drive to Cooperstown, and it is this, like, I'm thinking, okay, it's small town America. The Baseball Hall of Fame's there. It's going to be Walmart, Applebee's, all the typical. It is this quaint little place that is untouched by corporate America. It is like it's like a Norman Rockwell, whatever you want to call it. It's like
unbelievable.
Like going back in time, and the main street is all baseball card shops. So we go there, and I go in this one place, and there's a dollar bin, and there's all these 1986 Don Ross, Jose Canseco rookies, and I'm like, oh, because in my day, that was the card I wanted as far as baseball goes, and they were $50 a piece. You'd never see them, and I'm going up to the counter like this, right, with a pile of these cards that are $1, and I buy them all, and then I get back. I remember I get back to Toronto. I'm like, geez, I should get Dad to ship up my old cards. So I gradually bring them up as I go back home and come back up, and big hockey card shows coming up a couple months later, and I go and I'm like, oh my God, I can afford all these cards I wanted. And boom, I was right back into it. Awesome. So that's about 10, 11 years ago now. So yeah, I mean, back in the day, I wasn't going to the bar going, hey, I'm a big hockey card collector, right? Because like most guys, it went away for a while.
Yeah.
But I think the reason cards are so strong now, and geez, Sports Illustrated just did an article this week about sports cards coming back. The reason it's so strong now is because guys our age actually have disposable income that they could spend on the cards they wanted when they were kids that they couldn't afford.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that $20 for whatever card that was unaffordable for you in grade 7 is suddenly $5, and you're like, geez, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Just
unbelievable. You've got almost like you've got 50,000, over 50,000 cards, don't you?
Yeah. I need a dedicated room for them in my house. We live in an older home, and it doesn't have a lot of closet space. So there's cards under my bed. There's cards everywhere. And Jamie, I'm like you. I gave probably a box of my son's really into goalies, so. And the great thing about the cards from the 90s, which is known as the junk wax era, is mostly they're worthless, right?
Yeah.
But then they're worth something to a kid, right? Because he gets to see them, he gets to look at them. So my kid's enjoying them as well. But it's honestly, guys, it's something I do to pass the time. I used to be out rock and rolling a lot, as Captain Ron will tell you. Now I sit in solace with my sports cards, reading stories, reading the back. It's good for my mental health. And I thoroughly enjoy it. It's and Ron, you know me, I'm as immature as they get, so it brings out the kid in me even more. And it's a link to hockey and baseball, the past, mostly hockey, but I got a lot of baseball as well. But I still learn a lot about hockey history from just looking through cards. This week I did a video, as I was telling you guys earlier, on the worst hair in the 70s. So I came across this card from 73, 74. It was a guy named Stan Gilbertson. And I just thought, wow, look at that haircut. That is just wild. And I thought, well, I never really heard of Stan Gilbertson. So I do a little research on Stan Gilbertson. Turns out he was the last guy to ever score a goal on Christmas Day in the National Hockey League. They used to have Christmas Day games. And his career was cut short when he lost part of a leg in a car accident. And I'm like, that's a story. And that comes just from looking at a little piece of cardboard. So
yeah, amazing.
That's kind of why I'm into it, yeah.
Cool.
That's unbelievable, man. So I've heard you have a Wayne Gretzky rookie card too, don't you, as well?
Yeah, I got a couple of them. I do have Gretzky rookies. The most, I'll tell you guys a story. It seems like we have time, but
yeah,
my most cherished card is a Wayne Gretzky rookie. So again, as a kid, you could never afford it, right? And I bought packs of 79, 80, but I was not lucky enough to get one. So when cards started getting big, I wanted a Gretzky rookie, but it was, even in 87, it was out of my hands. And back then it wasn't, you couldn't just dial up the internet or look for it. You had to try to figure it out. We could never discover one, my brother and I. But we always wanted one, but we figured, okay, that's for another day. So probably 88 or 89, my mom comes back to the house and she bought a box of cards at an auction in a place called Westfield. She paid $10 for it. So she said, hey, Kenny, Peter, this is for you guys. So we opened up and we're like, oh, they're the blue cards. And for us, the blue card meant the Gretzky rookie. So we think, is there a Gretzky rookie in here? So we start thumbing through them. And so lo and behold, halfway through, oh my God, it's a Gretzky rookie. We're jumping up and down, we're freaking out. And then 10 seconds later, we just look at each other. And it was like Semenko and Timmy Hammer, right? The gloves were off. And we're just chucking, right? Because we both want that rookie card. And Mom's freaking out. Oh yeah, Mom's freaking out. She's like, share it. And we're like, this way. We can share it. So to this day, That card is split custody between my brother and I. It lives at my house. Peter has visitation rights. But the funny thing about that card is it means the most to me because it was my favorite player. It's got the connection with my brother and my mother. And it's not worth much. It turns out somebody had marked on it before. You can get $200-300 for it, but we don't care because it's a connection to our past and to hockey's past, all brought together by two important people in my life, my mother and Wayne Gretzky. So that's my favorite hockey player.
And the brother of the year is just, don't worry about that.
Yeah, and here's the cool part. I might have something in my closet here. Here is,
don't we all?
Yeah, exactly. Here is one of the books.
Ken Reid's coming out of the closet. Look
there
out.
You go. There's hockey card stories too.
Excellent.
There it is. Nice.
So the one guy I needed for the book, man. So there's 59 guys in this book. 59 guys in the first book. I'll call whomever. I don't care. So I got all these guys in this book. You know, there's one guy I just couldn't call. I just didn't have the guts to call him. So I've got a good relationship with one of the card companies, and he was there signing for them one day, and the phone rings, and they go, "Is this Ken?" I said, "It is Ken." And the guy on the other end said, "Hold on, someone wants to talk to you." And he said, "This is Wayne Gretzky." So
wow.
That's the actual rookie card that my brother and I own. I don't know if you can see the mark on the Oilers logo there.
Oh, yeah.
That's the mark on it. So Mr. Wayne Gretzky was kind enough to call me up and fill me in on this, which was terrific. So I had a nice conversation with him. And then when I was doing the Eddie Shack book, Wayne called and filled me in on Eddie Shack. And to show you what kind of guy Wayne is, it was supposed to be a 5-minute call about Eddie Shack, and we ended up talking for 50 minutes about everything.
Wow.
And then about a month later, I got a call. Wayne was in town, and they needed an MC for a couple events. So I got to spend 6 hours with him, just driving around, going to a couple events, and he is as genuine as you guys. It's just like talking to anybody.
Unbelievable, man.
He just happens to be the best player in the world. And look at that young sniper on the back. Boys. Look at that.
Settle down.
In the form? What form with the Titan in the Picto Maripax hockey jacket?
Oh, yeah. And that wide stance,
Oh,
wow.
yeah. I would love to have that jacket back.
That is an athlete right there.
Oh, total athlete. Total athlete. Yeah. I haven't looked through this in a while. This is a good card. Oh, here's, Ron, you'll like this card. Jamie, this is one of my favorite cards of all time. Just Olaf Kolzig eating a hot dog during a hockey game.
Yeah, because, why not, right?
Yeah, because why not? Exactly.
Because you're already in the show, so what?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I can eat a hot dog. Whatever.
It's a hot dog card. Why not?
No big whoop. Yeah.
Well, Kenny, we really appreciate you joining the show, man.
Boys,
we always end the show with we kind of were going to give you the heads up on this, but hopefully us springing this on you isn't going to be too hard for you. I know it's been 10 years. You've been back a few times, but we always do a What's Up Etown Top 3.
Okay.
And we ask you 3 questions about Edmonton. So we'll start with that. I want to start by asking you a question, though. What is a little-known fact that people don't know about Ken Reid?
Little-known fact that people don't know about me, I have 2 crooked baby fingers. It's called the Reid Crooked Cranny. There you go. My baby fingers are crooked.
Crooked fingers.
Yeah, my grandfather had it on the Reid side, so the Reid Crooked Cranny. There you go. But a lot of people know this. I have a skin disease called vitiligo, so that's why my legs are so red. I was outside the other day, and I got really burned. But I have a skin pigment disorder where I lose skin pigment. So the reason I look so white is because my actual skin pigment is gone. I'm actually quite tan. So people may not know that. I actually can have a good tan before all this stuff.
There we go.
So I gave you a bonus. I gave you 2 extra ones.
I was just assuming you didn't have your Sportsnet team at home before the podcast, so you just get touched up.
I am, but on the bonus, my mother has it, and Sweet Marie looks like she's about 40 years old, but she's pushing 70. But the fair skin makes you look pretty young, so I'll take it.
There you go, buddy.
Yeah.
There's always a benefit to things, right?
Hey, always accentuate the positive, Ronnie.
There it is.
100%. 100%. All right, I think it's that time. What's Up Etown Top 3? And Jamie is going to be asking you those questions, Kenny.
Okay.
So, favorite all-time restaurant in Edmonton?
Oh.
Past or present. I don't know when you were back last, so take us in the time machine.
What is the nice Greek one there? Kind of off 104. I used to like that one. I used to go to that. I can't remember the name of it.
Katuka?
Could be.
Katuki.
Katinki?
Yeah, there you go. So one night the waiters all came out, and my family was there. We were having dinner, and they had the plates, they're breaking them, the little thin plates. So my brother looks down, and he just takes a giant serving tray off our table. It's about that thick. Goes like this, smash! It goes up and deflects up and cuts a lady's leg at the table next to it. So,
like they train for that. So, I mean, they're professionals.
Like the staff's looking at my brother going, dude, that's a $75 plate. If we get these wafer thin things that we're snapping, it's part of the whole, as you said, Jamie, the shtick. But my brother got into it. So, and it was like sharp edge going at the lady.
That's hilarious.
Well, I mean, they set the example, right? So good for him for getting in there.
He was just following the lead.
There you go.
I'm sure Dad tipped out big that night. I didn't.
He had to at that point, right?
Oh, that $75 tip. Thanks for covering the plate.
What was your favorite festival in Edmonton or in surrounding area, like Alberta even?
Oh, favorite.
Edmonton's got so many.
Folk Festival was pretty good. Wasn't there a pretty good folk festival in Edmonton? I thought that was pretty
on
good.
The hill there.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good time. That wasn't bad at all. I'll take that. We'll go Folk Fest.
Okay, and sorry, I got my dog is trying
actually
to get
Klondike
into the
Days
podcast
was
now.
fun too. Although they renamed Klondike Days when I was there. What do they call it now?
Back to K Days. Back to K Days now.
There you go.
Yeah.
And what do you the podcast is What's Up Etown. What do you love about Edmonton?
I really enjoyed the people in Edmonton, to be honest. And that's one thing I worked in a few different places across the country. And what I really learned, it's not what you have or what sites you have. It's people, right? Like they'll say Toronto, the CN Tower. Nobody goes to the CN Tower. Tourists go to the CN Tower. But what makes the city nice, it's little neighborhoods. It's the people you meet. So what I enjoy most about Edmonton, people that I met. It's a really, really friendly town. So that is my answer. And, Of course, the Oilers games were wicked, too. Man, Rexall place could get so loud. And I did get to go to the new arena, too, which is really nice. But, I guess I should say that the diehard hockey culture of the town is something I also very, very much enjoyed. I mean, man, the Oilers mean so much, but not only do the Oilers mean so much, but, Fort Saskatchewan Traders, and St. Albert, and Spruce Grove Saints, and, Oil Kings. It's such a great hockey culture in that town.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Sherwood Park Crusaders. Put the shout out. That's my hometown.
Crew. So, there you go.
There you go.
Exactly. And you know what was a fun event too? When I was out there, was the Allen Cup. I think it was in Fort Saskatchewan one year. That was a fun event to cover. So I love the passion of the game in Edmonton.
Right on.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, Kenny, thank you for joining us on the show, buddy. It's been awesome having you on. Great to see you again. All the best. Hope you get back to work as soon, like we all expect to get back to work. I mean, there's nobody that I can say, Kenny, that deserves the success that you've had. You're a fantastic human being before anything else. So I just want to say that and let people know that, because you are a gracious person to talk to. You give your time to whoever, man.
Thanks, buddy. Well, you've done more than enough for me in my life. I wouldn't be here without you. If people consider this here to be success, doing a podcast in my spare bedroom, I thank you for that. Jamie, it's been awesome talking to you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
This has been fun, guys. This is the way it should be, just having a nice little chat. And look at that wallpaper. Is that out of hand or what?
I thought that was a painting, but okay.
Mr. Furley's renting us this place, apparently.
Thanks for joining us, Ken. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
See you,
Thanks,
boys.
Ken.
Thanks. Thank you.
See ya.
Well, how great was that, talking to Kenny Reid? Wow, some great stories. Met some hockey legends. Unbelievable, man.
He's a beauty. I could have talked to him for the rest of the day, and I didn't even need a drink with me. Like I was just it was captivating. Awesome. Very, very cool guy.
He's just a really interesting guy. He's got lots of stuff going on, and he is Nova Scotia through and through. He's just a down-to-earth guy. The way he talked on the podcast is exactly how Kenny Reid is. Straight up. He's on air and off air. There is no persona. He's the exact same thing. So he's
very
just a genuine person.
Yeah, very
100%.
likable guy. But I mean, that's probably why guys like Wayne Gretzky give him the time, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah, the Don Cherry, talking to Don Cherry, like Eddie Shack doing a book with Eddie, the stuff that the guy's done. Like he could write a book about the stuff, all the people that he's talked to over the years.
Yeah, and just very humble, like you said, down to earth, and it's pretty cool. And we are pretty lucky in Edmonton. Don't think people realize, like, if you're a sports fan, like we've had some really high quality sports broadcasters come out of this city. So, and he's up there, man, top shelf. I've seen him. Obviously, I've watched him. I didn't ever think that I'd get a chance to chat with him in the way we did, and I'm really glad that you were able to bring him on today. That was cool.
So was I. It was very, very cool to have him on, and very gracious of him to come on the podcast. Obviously, I'm sure he gets lots of offers to go on TV and radio and all that stuff. So we appreciate him making time and having some fun with us. So it was really great.
And
for sure.
we've got some fun stuff. It's funny because it sounded a lot like his talking about the road in broadcasting. It kind of reminded me of some of the stories that I've heard in the past from friends that we have in radio. But it sounds like money's a little better maybe in TV, right? But
100%.
That's not for us to say. But speaking of which, like, we have some pretty cool people that we've got that have agreed to come on What's Up Etown coming up, like Lachlan Cross from Cruise FM. Who else we got? We've
got Lars Callahoo coming up. He's coming up. He's going to be a great guest. We're excited. I hope I pronounced that right because his last name is one of those names. So
we should get that.
Kelly who? I think he said Kelly who is how he pronounced it. So
we got to get a phonetic spelling on that, really, as well.
We do. Well, he gave me the phonetic spelling. It's Kelly who? Kelly O.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll practice that before we have him on as a guest, right? So Lars, if you're watching, just stop watching.
Yeah, stop right now.
Just ignore what we just butchered your name 10 times.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much.
And then Adam McHale as well, right?
Adam McHale from Now Radio is going to be on. So, lots of good stuff.
I know Brent Sake. We're still working on getting him back into town, and he wants to come on. So it should be fun, man. I'm really glad that we've have been able to take this time during the time we have, I guess, to get this going again. I enjoy our time together, Ron.
And we also have a special one coming up. Going to be released probably Monday or Tuesday with Corey Hayes and Nathan Richards from OTR.
Oh, a couple of clowns.
They like to have a little bit of fun, so we're going to have them on the show just to have a little bit of fun with them. They can insult each other and insult us. And
well, we'll just introduce them and hit record and sit back and have a cocktail.
We're going to have a cocktail and watch them go at it. So it'll be lots of fun.
So we'll go from podcasting to commentating.
Yeah, exactly. 100% we will.
Right on, man.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for the show. On behalf of Jamie, my name is Captain Ron. Hope you guys had a good time. We will see you on the show again. Don't forget to check us out. We are on YouTube. You can check us out at What's Up Etown on YouTube. Everything is out there for us now. We have the audio shows as well as the video shows. So please go hit subscribe, or if you're listening to it on YouTube, go down, subscribe to the page. You'll get all the updates of all that stuff. And, of course, we're on What's Up Etown on Facebook and all the other platforms. You can check us out on Instagram and Twitter as well. So definitely check it out. Jamie, great doing this again, my friend.
See you, Ron.
Take care, guys. We'll see you again.
See ya.